What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so Democrats don't seem to care about the truth. They don't care about reality. They don't care about facts. They don't care about any of these things. Okay, so I know what you might be thinking. I know the format of this video is a little bit different. Well, this video, this senator, if you will, Blumenthal, he touches upon a few issues that I kind of want to rebut right here at the beginning of this video that I have for you guys. So I'm kind of formatting it a little bit different. So y'all smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here and you want more interactions like this. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you could, look right below the video and click that join button. Sign up and become a member. That would greatly help me out, y'all. If y'all could do that, that'd be great. But without any further ado, here you go, folks.
Senator Blumenthal.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Hegseth, you've been asked about options for the use of force abroad. I want to ask about the use of our military at home. I have been deeply disturbed and alarmed by the use of active duty troops, Marines, in Los Angeles, and President Trump has made clear his intention to continue to use the military to suppress dissent and likely inflame tensions there and elsewhere, all under the guise of enforcing the law. What he's doing may well be illegal.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting choice of words, if you will. Under the guise of enforcing the law? What are you talking about, my dude? Like, they're going there to protect ICE and protect federal buildings. They're not there for the protesters. These people, they're just deranged for some reason. Like, they just cannot seem to align themselves with reality. They just make up this narrative in their head, and then they just run with that. And then they just lie blanketly. And it's all theatrics, folks. And this is why the Democratic Party is losing. What do you mean, under the guise of enforcing the law? That's not what they're doing. That's not what their orders are. And we all know that. But let's keep going.
I want to ask you about contingency plans for the use of active duty military in other cities. Do you have such contingency plans?
Senator, I would just say we share the president's view that, as you characterized it, we are deeply disturbed and alarmed that ICE officers are being attacked while doing their job in any city in America. And so allowing National Guard or active troops under existing authorities to defend them is important.
On ICE officers, yes, but we ought to be equally alarmed by the illegal use of active duty Marines or other military. I take it from your answer that you do have contingency plans for the use of military in other cities.
We have never and will not illegally deploy troops. All have been under existing and well-established authorities to use troops to support federal law enforcement officers.
So far, there's been no legal justification. It's been challenged successfully. I think that it will prevail. Those challenges will prevail in the courts.
Okay, so interesting choice of words there. Once again, he's saying it's illegal and all this other stuff. It's been challenged in the courts and it will succeed. As if the courts have decided that what Donald Trump is doing with the National Guard is illegal. Well, once again, folks, this is a blatant lie. Look at this right here. In a dramatic reversal, Court of Appeals allows Trump to keep National Guard in L.A. for now. Now, the for now, okay, so it went to federal court, and the federal court struck it down. The judge said, no, you can't have the National Guard. And then it immediately went to the appeals court, and the appellate court said, this is BS, this is ridiculous. Of course he has the right, because they're not there to quell the protests. They're there for a specific reason, and under Article 10, or Title 10, sorry, he is most certainly allowed to deploy the National Guard to protect the federal buildings and protect ICE agents, for goodness sakes. It's just getting ridiculous with these people. But I love how Hegseth turned that around on him. Oh, yes, of course, we're disgusted by the attacks on... And none of these Democrats ever admit to far-left extremist activists attacking ICE agents. They continue to call them peaceful protesters, for goodness sakes. It's just all ridiculousness. It's all showmanship. That's all it is, folks. But to the average Democrat that doesn't read the news, they listen to that senator and they're like, hang on, you know, somebody that, you know, doesn't like Trump, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Hey, I feel that. But the lies This is the problem in this country, folks. The lies of these people. It's folks like that that have divided this nation so heavily. This is why we're so polarized right now. It's crazy. Just crazy. And the polarization is people that are informed and people that are lied to. That's the polarization. That is nuts, in my opinion.
And I want to ask you right now to submit to this panel those contingency plans for the use of active duty military in other cities. I want to move on to another area of questioning. The chairman has said that you've submitted precious little detail, to quote him, precious little detail about the budget. I think there is no detail. This budget is literally a rough outline with short-sighted shortfalls. For example, the shortfall on the Columbia class, $2 billion. Only about $1 billion for Virginia class. There is virtually no outline or specificity as to how you are going to provide drones to defend and also engage in offensive outline and maneuvers. The nature of warfare is changing right before our eyes in real time. Unmanned aerial and undersea warfare is happening in Ukraine and elsewhere. And I think that you owe this committee and the American public more specificity in that budget, because we will be at risk. We are at risk right now in the Middle East. And I want to know whether we have contingency plans to protect our U.S. personnel in the region from the kind of swarm of drones that have proved devastating already to 3 of our service people in the Middle East on a base in Jordan. Do you have such plans to protect against drones there?
Senator, we work hand in glove with the Joint Staff and CENTCOM and every COCOM, especially right now, to ensure everything at our disposal is available to ensure maximum force protection against any contingency, including the one you described, sir.
Well, I have no assurance that we have the capacity to safeguard against the swarm of small, lightweight, slow-moving drones that are, in my view, our major vulnerability. And right now, if we engage in the Iran conflict, would put us and U.S. personnel at risk there.
No, I'm not going to lie. I totally agree with him right here. That's a genuine concern. These smaller drones can wreak havoc on military, for goodness sakes. And I really wasn't, honestly, I wasn't satisfied with that answer. Yes, we have contingency plans for that specific what you're talking about right there. Like, come on, like, I would love to hear something a little bit more in-depth, my guy, but, you know, Hegseth does what he does. I understand they have limited time, so maybe he's just trying to be succinct. I don't know. He's just trying to be real quick with his answer, but I would like a little bit more in-depth answer on that, because that's definitely a genuine concern, y'all.
Let me ask you about Ukraine. I've just returned from my 7th trip to Ukraine. I am the advocate, chief sponsor with Senator Graham in the Russia sanctions bill. You said that the United States and the ranking member cited it, that we must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective and will only prolong the war. My question to you is, when will you release the PDA $4 billion in equipment that Ukraine desperately needs? It's sitting there. Ukraine deserves it. When will it be released?
We're aware of PDA 75, and that is a decision we can make in the future.
My time has expired, but I
Thank you.
don't consider that answer adequate.
I'm not going to lie. I'm completely satisfied with that answer. I hope they never receive that, although they are kind of obligated to dole out whatever was appropriated by Congress. They kind of have to, but they can string that right on along. Now, I understand why they're doing that. He's trying to bring that war to an end. However, if Zelensky doesn't want to bring the war to an end, and Putin has no clear intentions of bringing the war to an end. Why are we involved in that? That's what I want to know. Why are we sending money? I know it's not just money. It's weapons and tanks and bullets and bombs and all kinds of other stuff. I know, but money, because that costs money to manufacture. So why are we sending money and items to Ukraine? For goodness sakes, they are not one of our allies. As a matter of fact, I would look at them more of an enemy than anything. They've been stealing from us. They come over here and they swoon Congress for some money, and Congress just capitulates to these people and gives the money out. Now, I've heard all the arguments like, oh, well, Putin's the one who invaded. Who cares? I really don't care. Ukraine is not the United States. I could care less of Putin's intentions in Ukraine, because clearly you can't make the argument anymore that Putin wants to take over Europe. He's going to go into Poland. You can't make that argument anymore because it's BS. Reality doesn't align with that opinion right there, because clearly he does not have any intentions to go anywhere past where he is right now. And you might make the argument, well, it's because we've been sending weapons over them. Well, no, I'm sorry. That's not it. If Putin wanted to, he could decimate Ukraine. I do believe. He could decimate Ukraine, or he could have at the beginning of this war. And he chose not to for a very specific reason, because he just wants access to the Black Sea unimpeded. That's what he wanted. It was a land grab. Now, I'm not saying he's in the right. He's definitely in the wrong. He's a dictatorial scumbag, in my opinion. But what are we going to do about that? It's not our place. Once again, just like this whole situation in Iran, that is not our place. If Israel wants to do their thing, they want to purchase weapons from us, go right ahead. If Ukraine wants to purchase weapons, go right ahead. I have no problem with that. I have a problem with us signing on to hundreds of billions of dollars in military equipment just given out to this country that is not one of our allies and actively works against us. They interfere in our elections. Yes, they do. Look it up if you don't believe me. Once again, I'm not going to fact check everything I say, because I honestly don't have time to do that on this video. But I've covered articles in the past that shows Ukraine was actively interfering in the 2016 election on behalf of Hillary Clinton, for goodness sakes. Go look it up, Politico. Go type that in. Ukraine interferes in 2016 election. Politico. Check that out. Yeah, it's a fascinating article right there. Right? So they interfere in our elections. Then they cut the pipeline. Right? The Germans accused Ukrainians of destroying that gas pipeline. I forget the name of it right off the top of my head. Y'all let me know down in the comments. I'm sure I'll remember by then, but I can't remember it right off the top. But yeah, the Germans did that. They accused Ukraine of doing it, sabotaging Germany's gas infrastructure, for goodness sakes, where they were buying gas from Russia. That's another thing. With Joe Biden, I know, totally shifting topics right there, but Joe Biden pausing the gas exports from the United States that we could supply gas, make lots of money in the process, and then we're not feeding Putin's war machine. But Joe Biden said, no, we're not going to do that. It's all ridiculousness. It really, truly is when it comes to Ukraine. So I hope they never get those weapons, folks. Never. Ever. But I think I've rambled on for long enough on this one, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here and you like what you had to see. But y'all do me that. Y'all do me those favors. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.